What's the difference, do you think, in compensation? Because my feeling is the 49ers have a higher valuation and expectation on their assets and the return of that, and it's above the reality than the market. So I'm sure they're receiving calls, but I just still feel like there's too many variables for an actual deal to come in. Maybe the 49ers get a third rounder, but it's not probably going to be a straight up third rounder. It's probably going to be conditional third rounder, this, that, and the other. Your thoughts on that as far as the 49ers and their evaluation of their own trade market and that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, it's always been kind of crazy, I think. You kind of go back to Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard. Weren't there reports that teams were inquiring about the 49ers, CJ Beathard or Nick Mullins? Because, hey, you got, kind of three quarterbacks. You got Jimmy G. You got these two other guys. Are you willing to let one of those guys go? And the 49ers are like, no. And I always thought that was wild. I thought that was wild. Like, how aren't you going to move off of Beathard or Mullins? Like, just one of those guys. They are backup quarterbacks. Like, they're not a starter. So, whether you got two backup quarterbacks, three, whatever, and we see this year maybe it's a little bit more valuable to have three, even though that was kind of different, right? Yeah, that was different. But anyways, typically teams grow in the season. You got two quarterbacks. If you're willing to give me a fifth round pick for my third string quarterback, bro, I'm taking that. And I don't think the 49ers were. So, like you're saying, with how much they value their guys on the roster and the price that they put on the guys, I think that kind of moves teams off of it. Deebo Samuel, perfect example. Like you said, teams were inquiring about him and teams made offers. Now, the New York Jets. The offer that the Jets made, I would not have taken that either. Do you remember what the offer was for Deebo?
I think I don't really remember. I know like 49ers fans were wanting like a first, second, third, fourth, fifth, but I think they were trying to offer something like a second.
No, so it was a first. Mm-hmm. So they were going to give us one of their top 10 pick or whatever, right?
Yes.
So it was a first round pick, but they wanted to swap. They wanted the 49ers pick 61 and in return for a third round pick. So it was like, yeah, you get the first, but we want that 61st overall pick, and then we'll give y'all a third. And the 49ers were like, hell no. And I wouldn't have done that either. Now, if you tell me, yeah, we'll give you a first and a third for Deebo, like, cool, straight up, cool. But you want our second round pick? Like, no way.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that I'm kind of getting at is I don't doubt that the 49ers wouldn't be opposed to trading Trey Lance, just like I don't think they wouldn't be opposed to trading Deebo Samuel. But how are we going to sweeten up the deal here, right? Like, and I think that's what they're getting in compensation in return, because okay, so you're the GM, right? And you're let's say you're the Buccaneers. You're the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have their GM is kind of clearly stated out on record that about their quarterback situation in Tampa Bay. And you're looking at the 49ers, but you're looking at this draft class, right? Where a guy like DTR could be had in the third, fourth, fifth round, right? And then you get him for a full 4 years on that rookie contract. When you're kind of like assessing this, right? Even Duggar from TCU, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of other quarterbacks that you get, and then have them on a secured rookie contract for 4 years. So you're the Buccaneers GM, and you're looking at that quarterback situation, and I bet they're one of the teams that have called and reached out just to kind of, I call it like fishing, testing the waters. What would you realistically be offering the 49ers for a young quarterback, not very many starts, didn't even play D1 ball?
He did play D1. He played one double.
Yeah.
I saw somebody else in the chat say D2.
Yeah.
I played Division II football. North Dakota State would wipe us. I mean, it wouldn't even be competitive. It wouldn't be. It's hard for people to understand. I think that like maybe don't know the differences. And we had talent on our team.
I don't.
But the difference between 1AA and D2, there's a drastic difference. there's a drastic difference. So it's very kind of like really disrespectful to North Dakota State, Sacramento State, what they're doing right now, Eastern Washington, where Cooper Kupp played, like those teams, and there are a decent amount of really good 1AA schools. To call them Division II is really it's very disrespectful and wild. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna get roasted for that faux pas of a comment there. So I apologize.
And that wasn't for you. I mean, I saw somebody in the chat say that he played D2. You said it wasn't D1, which technically, I mean, it wasn't 1A as we used to call it. Now they call it FBS. So the FBS and the FCS, which are the two different Division I conferences. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and I don't want to keep beating up the narrative that Trey Lance hasn't played a lot and that sort of thing, but he does have a little bit lack of experience, but also too, again, if we can have you kind of go back and putting on that GM hat for the Buccaneers, what do you think would be, again, looking at the talent pool, because I do think you have some first round talent, and then I do think you have some day 2, day 3 selections that can be made. So you don't really have to be desperate. I don't think, even if you are a team that doesn't have a quarterback, if you're fishing, just casting out that first line, what would your initial call be with John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, Adam Peters? What do you think a reasonable offer would be, especially with where you're picking at in the draft?
If I'm a team, right? So let's start with, again, I'm Tampa Bay, or I'm maybe Tennessee Titans or something like that. Just negotiating tactics in general, I'm going to start low. So I'll start with, hey, man, I will give you a 5th. And you might hang up and say, hell no, right? And I'll let it sit for a little bit. I'll come back, all right, like a 4th. And you might hang up again and say, hell no. But at least because I start low, as I start to get a little bit higher, a 3rd might sound more intriguing to you. Even if originally you wanted either a late 1st or even a 2nd round pick, because, hey, he's talented, just weird circumstance for us and our expectations as a team. But he might be a much better fit for your team and where y'all are at right now. And that's way more beneficial to you. So we're not just going to let him walk to y'all, like, for this low pick. So maybe the 49ers are thinking, well, we needed a 1st or a 2nd, or, hey, we'll take a 1st next year. The 49ers could be thinking something along the lines of that. I think realistically, a 3rd sounds about right. Like, that's what I would be willing to give up if I were a team. It would be hard for me to give up more for a guy who, again, has not started 3 straight games in the NFL. He needed reps and just playing time because there's just so much inexperience coming from the FCS level. So, hey, I get Trey Lance for a 3rd and I get multiple years to see what I have with them. Cool. But it would be hard for me to give up more. Now, the 49ers might expect more because they give up a lot. But for me, it would be hard to say, okay, I'm just going to give you a 1st round pick, or I'm going to give you a 2nd round pick. Like, that would be hard for me.
Absolutely. And where do you think that the 49ers evaluation, what they would deem as fair to part with? Again, I mean, we don't know how full and robust their quarterback room is going to be. What do you think they would deem fair? So putting on, your Adam Peters, John Lynch, hat, what do you think would be willing to entertain? Like, where do we start going? Like, okay, now we can actually talk. I'm not going to hang up the phone.
Did you say that the 49ers have a robust quarterback room?
No, I didn't say that they have. Maybe I worded that wrongly. I meant to say that, they don't have a robust quarterback room, or we don't know how robust it is, how big it is, because we don't know, with Brock Purdy and that Yahoo report that came out, if he's going to be his availability being a part of that room, because he could be rehabbing.
He's going to play. Like, I think it was worded, it was taken out of context.
Okay.
And a lot of people that I've seen a lot of people kind of touch on it since then. We talked about it. Locked On 49ers, myself, Brian Peacock, come at you 5 days a week. Make sure y'all tune into that. But
it's actually on right now.
Yeah. Okay, man. Why'd I go live during the premiere? It is premiering right now. Bad timing by me.